Okay, so this is part 2 of the room tour video, and what I'll do is just start with the Jaguar games. So most of these Jaguar games are from my original Jaguar. There's a bit of a story of why it's technically not the original one, but you'll see it in the next video. So most of these ones are the ones that I originally had from 1994. I originally bought the Jaguar, I think it was about Christmas '94, which was fairly late in the lifespan, and at that point I got Tempest 2000 with it, and I got the Jaguar from Silica in Debenhams in Meadowhall, and the library of games was quite limited. The Jaguar was quite odd because you couldn't get it in a lot of gaming shops in the UK. They had to be from these normally electrical outlets, which is quite weird. But this was one game that was very highly praised at the time, and even now still is remembered as perhaps the only game on the Jaguar which is worth buying the machine for. I don't think that's entirely true, but I would say probably with the Jaguar you've got Tempest 2000, Doom, which is almost the same as the PC version. It's better than the other console ones, but not quite up to the scratch of the PC. But if you've got a Jaguar, it's probably worth getting just for the novelty. This was Iron Soldier. This game is quite a lot like Virtual Racing style. It's flat shaded polygons with a few textures here and there. And at the time it was quite groundbreaking to have a fully 3D game and it running, a lot better than a lot of Amiga games did, which is quite. I think it's worth getting. It's quite an accomplishment then, but I think now it looks a bit dated. Alien vs Predator. This probably needs no introduction. I think this might have even been the first Jaguar game I ever saw. It was on, it was on Games Master, if I remember correctly, or Bad Influence, one of them. I think I mentioned it in the video a few days ago. And the game really was like Wolfenstein, but it had textured floors and ceilings, but everything's really just on the same height, and graphically it's not as advanced as Doom, but it has got these really nice photorealistic textures, which, I don't know, I think makes a good impression. I think it's one of the better Alien games. Theme Park, that's really the Amiga version, but it has the annoying ability that you can't save, so take your pick on that one. Dragon, yeah, it's not much better than the SNES game. I think I got that. Did I get this cheap second hand? Probably didn't buy it new. It's okay. It's a nice enough game, but it's a bit rough. Evolution Dino Dudes. I want to like this game, I really do, but it just feels it's boring a lot of the times. I do like puzzle games like Lemmings, but this one, it just lacks some of the spark. I don't know why. Cannon Fodder. That's pretty much the same as the Amiga version visually, but you're using the control pad. It's a really good port. Val de Serre. This was a game that I discussed a few weeks ago. There was a lull of decent Jaguar games at one point. This was probably mid-95, and I remember seeing this game coming out, and it was one of the only interesting looking Jaguar games to come out for about 6 months, so I bought that just really on a whim, and I was quite happy. Sensible Soccer is a port of the Amiga game, but it's probably the best version on the console. It's visually, is it better than the Amiga version? It might be. It's certainly better than the Mega Drive one. And the box looks very unassuming. It's a Telegames published title. And I think probably at the time, if you had a Jaguar, it's probably not the game you're really trying to buy on the machine. But I didn't have an Amiga at that point, so this was the best version I could get. Super Burnout. This game I did an overview of I think probably a few months ago now. And the game, it was one that I saw in magazines, and I never saw the game for sale. And I saw it a few months ago on eBay going quite cheap, so I put a bid in and got it. I was quite happy with that. Missile Command 3D, I've looked at that. That was really a game that was meant for the 3D headset. And then you've got Flip Out, which is like a puzzle game. It's okay. It's not one of the better Jaguar titles. And then we've got the Jaguar CD. the games for it are quite easy to get on eBay, and they're not overly priced. You can probably get them about £5, but the machines are quite hard to get hold of, and I think I got quite lucky there. I'll come back to that when I do an overview of the consoles. But this is really a lot like Cybermorph, and it's the sequel to it, and it's similar in its graphical style, but if I zoom in a bit more, there's more detail, although it's got that annoying avatar. But she doesn't say, "Where did you learn to fly?" She says something else. I forget what it is now. It's been a few years since I've played this, so I'll have to do an overview video. But you can see the boxes are slightly bigger. Bold is a bit like, visually it's kind of like your cannon fodder Megalomania style game, but it's like an RTS. It's a bit like Settlers. Yeah. Go in. I always get a bit nervous with cardboard boxes because they can get damaged. And the last Jaguar game is Hover Strike. This is a bit beaten up. I got this from a... where was it? It was Game in Barnsley, and I think I probably got this around 96, 97. And they'd had it in ages, and they were just dropping the price, and I think it was like £3, £5, and I just picked it up. I thought, I'll have that. And they said, wow, you know, someone's bought this game. We've had it there in this bargain bin for years and no one's bought it. We're happy to get rid of it. They'd have probably given me it. Memory track. This is the memory card for the Jaguar. So the Jaguar CD, well, the cartridges you can save your game on the cartridge, but with a CD you can't do that. So this lets you save your games. Pretty much like a PS2 or PS1 memory card. Okay, so these are the 32X games. Most of these I bought from cash converters in Barnsley, and there was a period of time when the Mega Drive and the 32X and even the SNES, they were worth nothing. People were just getting rid of the games and buying PS1 games. So a lot of these I got for like a few pounds each, and yeah, £2. The Star Wars, that's a really good game. It's one of those flat shaded polygons, so it's a Model 1 game from the arcade. Doom, nah, it's okay. I think I got that just as a curiosity to see what the technology was like on the console. 36 holes. Have I covered that? I can't remember. If I haven't, I'll have to look at that at some point. Virtual Racing Deluxe. Really, really good version of Virtual Racing. And I think, aside from the version on the PS2, this is my favourite. It's like the Mega Drive one, and it feels really fluid and nice. But visually they upgraded it a little bit from the Mega Drive, and it really showed the potential of the console. It was just a shame that maybe if the 32X had come out a year early, it might have done well. Virtua Fighter, this is a really, really nice game. It's, in my opinion, better than the Saturn version. It was similar to Virtual Racing in that they couldn't match the arcade graphically, but it's really smooth and there's hardly any glitching, whereas the Saturn version's a bit glitchy and a bit buggy, but gameplay wise it's all there. And then last from the 32X is Knuckles Chaotix. This is quite expensive now. I think I got that $79. I can't remember if I paid that for it, maybe even less. But yeah, is it worth buying? For gameplay, not really. I think if you get it for 20 quid or less, it's worth getting, but I think for the prices this commands, it's the weakest. I would say it's weaker than all the Mega Drive Sonic games. Visually it's nice, it's got really nice colour depth, but other than that, nah, don't know. You've got to be in the mood for it, I think. And some Lynx games. So we've got Desert Strike. Destroying the box. This was a really good version. I didn't realise this until I saw it years after I'd stopped buying Lynx games, and I saw this in a I think it was Telegames, it might have even been on their website, and I saw that there on a sale and I thought, oh, I'll have that, I'll give it a go. And it's really good. It's pretty much the same as the Mega Drive version. So there's Dynolympics, which is like the, you probably notice, where is it? Evolution Dino Dudes. It's the same game, pretty much. Okay, on a handheld, but like Evolution Dino Dudes, you probably won't want to play it for long periods of time. Right, so this is the shelf with some PSP games. So you probably notice I tend not to go for games that are big 3D ones that you get on a PS2. I don't really like those games on a handheld. I like 2D ones preferably. So we've got Castlevania. This is a really good home release. This was a pack that contains Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, and it's like a 3D version of Rondo of Blood, which is, it was a PC Engine CD game. So it's probably, I think it's the only way of getting it in the West. I think there's a download on the Wii, if I remember correctly, but I think it's the only physical copy you can get. That's Initial D, I've looked at that. Gradius. This is a really nice pack, and I suppose it is technically retro because you've got the original. You've got Gradius, Gradius 2, 3, 4. I forget what this one was. Gaiden. I'm not sure which version that is, whether it's the SNES version or not. But I'm most familiar with Gradius 3 and 4. But yeah, they're really good versions. Outrun 2006, Burnout Legends. Yeah, they are 3D, but they're very arcadey, and even Ridge Racer. Yeah, EA Replay, that's got a load of Mega Drive and SNES games on it that are good in some ways and not so good in others. It's worth having on a handheld. So this is the Mega CD set, and when I bought my Mega Drive in 1999, it was from a guy in Sheffield who was advertising it in an ad mag, and I think he was just trying to get rid of it. I think he wanted it to go to a good home rather than binning it. And he sold it, how much was it? It was like 20-30 quid, just, you know, for the console, and there's a bunch of games. But one of them he wouldn't sell me with the console. I had to buy it separate, which was bizarre. And I'll leave you waiting because that'll be on the last video. But we've got Prince of Persia, Road Avenger. So probably about a third of these came with the machine, and then the rest I've just bought over time. Echo, that's a really good game. It's very similar to the Mega Drive game, but it's got more, it's probably a third extra levels, and there's some full motion video on there for some library sections. Wolfchild, I don't think I've looked at this yet on a gameplay. This was an Amiga game originally, and I think it may have got a Mega Drive conversion, but I don't recall there being a PAL release. So this is really just the Mega Drive version, but with CD soundtrack and some animations and stuff like that. Final Fight CD. Yeah, this is probably the best version on the home console. It's not quite got the colour depth of the SNES version, but you've got Cody and Guy and Hager, however you pronounce him. Yeah, I think that was a launch game in the Mega CD. It's just a shame there weren't more home conversions. Sega Arcade Classics. This was a pack-in game that had, you know, 5 really probably games that came out in the first year of the Mega Drive's lifespan. So you got Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage. You can read the rest. I don't think there's a bad game on there at all. Certainly Golden Axe was a good choice, although it doesn't play in 2-player mode, and I'm not sure why. It's a bit bizarre. This anonymous one doesn't have a name, is Rage in the Cage. It's a WWF game, and it's not a game I would have personally bought. I used to play some, which one was it? The WF game on the Mega Drive when I was about 12 in the early 90s, I think. You know, at that age, I used to watch WWF, and a friend of mine had Sky, and we used to watch it on there, and it's, yeah, it's of its time. Batman Returns. Really, really good driving sections. Not very good platforming sections, which was from the Mega Drive game. And Eternal Champions. I'm a bit annoyed with this. I bought this game, and it's quite hard to get hold of on the Mega CD. It's almost like a souped up version of the Mega Drive game, and it uses the trick that Echo 2 has to get more colours on the screen by alternating the palette on the scan lines. But the disc, unfortunately, is scratched, so you probably can't. Yeah, you can see there's a scratch on the disc, and I've tried cleaning it, and it's I don't know what someone's done to it, but it's all the way down through the lacquer. So you can get the title screen and that's it. So I'm hoping to if I can get a replacement disc at some point to have that completed. Starblade, I've looked at that. KO Flying Squadron. This was quite cheap actually. I'm not sure why, I think I just got lucky. I had this quite a while. I don't remember it being overly priced. I'm not sure how many copies they made of that, because it was quite a late Mega Drive game. Oh, Mega CD game rather. Soulstar. This was the first game I looked at on my channel. It's a game that I personally think it's the best game on the Mega CD, and it was the one that I was pained to get rid of when I originally sold my Mega Drive CD in probably around 1994. And I thought, oh, it's not a problem, it's coming out on the Jaguar. It never did. Terminator, Jaguar XJ220. That I have actually done a gameplay of that, and it was one of the first ones I ever did. And I played it back and I sounded really critical of the game. That's not fair because I like it. We've got Solpheus and Cobra Command, which was like a pack-in game with the Mega CD. Some people call Solpheus Solfeces because it's not considered a great 2D shoot 'em up, but I don't know, I disagree, I quite enjoy it. Thunderhawk. This was from Retro Games, so this was Retro World in Derby. So this was following Cojones Dolores, if I get his name right, and Daz and Shenmue Uso. They recommended that place, and yeah, I was really quite impressed. They've got a lot of games at reasonable prices. So these 4 games are Japanese Mega CD games. So this is Solpheus on its own, and as you can see, it's not really using the Mega CD hardware at all. There's some nice animation at the beginning, but once you get into the game, it's just the soundtrack. But this came with the machine. I'll just show very quickly what you get. You get these side cards. This is for... I'm not entirely sure what these are for. I think these can go around the box if you've got some kind of jewel case. I'm not entirely sure because there's a side there, because you get a side in Japanese and you get a side in English. So I'm not entirely sure. If anyone knows, maybe if you want both sides in Japanese you can. Don't know. And you've got the Mega Drive, the Japanese Mega Drive logo. Put it in the right way. This camera's getting heavy. Alright, I'm getting lazy. Wonder Dog. This is a core design game. It's an English-made game, but I don't think there was ever a UK or a PAL European release of it. You can see from the graphics it was originally an Amiga game, and it's really quite a nice title. It's just, I think when the Mega CD got launched in Europe, Sega wanted to make an impact of having games that were not possible on the Mega Drive, but that didn't last very long. Yeah, Afterburner 3. Yeah, not a good game. It's played from in the cockpit, and it's a bit like G-Lock, which was also a Sega game. Yeah, less to be said about that one. I've kept it because it came with the machine originally, but not great. Thunderstorm Effects. This is Cobra Command. It's just what they called it in Japan, which is a full motion video shooting game. It's okay, it's not bad. So these 3 are my PC Engine games. So this was the first one I ever bought. So I bought the machine probably around Christmas time, or January. No, it must have been after January because it was after I did the birthday video. So this is Dragon Spirit. So it comes with the SD card. No, SD card. Hue card. Yeah. Interesting how you've got the name. Probably if you loan it to people at school you can say it's my game. Although probably what would happen is some kid would take some alcohol cleaner, rub your name out, put his on it and say, no, it's mine. Yeah, they come in these CD cases. I'm not sure with Namcot. It looks like Namco. I'm not sure if it was a home division of Namco. Not sure. And I've got these 2. I've looked at these on previous videos. This is Chase HQ, again in a similar case, and SCI, which are pretty good home conversions. It's been I suppose a long-standing mission of mine to try and get a decent home version. I would like the Saturn version, but it's quite expensive on eBay at the moment. I'm not sure if I'll get lucky on that one. I think there's too many people looking for it. So these ones are CD32 games. The annoying thing was, when I started collecting for this machine in about 2001, I went into a cash converters and said, have you got any CD32? And they said, we got rid of them last week. I think they destroyed them. No one was buying them. It's just a damn shame. So this is Liberation. It's the sequel to Captive. It's like Dungeon Master. It makes really good use of the CD. What's this? Oscar and Diggers. This was a packing game. It's in quite flimsy packaging. I suppose you don't have to sell it to someone because it comes with the machine. Fury of the Furies. Or Fury of the Furries, rather. Other way around. It's a game which is kind of like a puzzling game. If you think of... visually it looks a bit like Rick Dangerous. But these little furry characters. They're like those little... what do you call them? Pom-poms. But they talk and they walk. Yeah, that was a shareware collection. So your Amiga magazine, don't know if that still works. Got that from a jumble sale. James Pond 2, same as the Amiga version with an extra intro. Lotus, yeah, this is a nice package. It has all the 3 Lotus games. It's probably the only time you can get the first Lotus on a console. And I think it runs slightly faster than the Amiga 500 does. The Overkill, these are more 2D shooters that came... did this come bundled with the machine? It came bundled with the one I bought, but I don't know if that was a packing game. This is... you think it was a copy, it's not. I got this from a jumble sale. This is Lemmings, but it says CD32 and CDTV, so it was a game that must have been designed for both. And what's this? No, same one. Lemmings. Mars Matrix. This is the first game I ever bought on the Dreamcast as an import. I got it from York, from Game Station. I've looked at this before. It's a top-down 2D shooter. Really good game. Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves. This is a game I bought quite recently. It was a game I originally saw in Forbidden Planet in Derby, probably around 10-12 years ago. It was really expensive at the time. It was quite sought after import. Virtual Cop 2. This was originally... it was an arcade game, but there was a Saturn conversion, and I'm not sure why they converted this to the Dreamcast. Bit of an odd choice, but I got that $4.99, so I thought I'll have it, and I've had some fun out of it. Daytona USA. This did come out in the West, but the reason I went for the American version was because it has online multiplayer, so you can use the modem. Should be down there somewhere when it focuses. Yeah, modem. Online multiplayer. The Western, well, not Western, European version rather, they took the multiplayer out. I'm not sure if it was because they didn't want to run a server because it was near the end of the Dreamcast's lifespan. But it's a real shame. I got to play that a few times online, but it was a bit slow because the servers were in the US. Sega GT, again, one of the first games I bought on import for the Dreamcast, again from Game Station in York. And this, I think it took another 18 months for this to come out in the West. In West again. I'm obsessed with the West. In Europe. This is Dreamkey. So this is the browser you get with the Dreamcast, but it was an upgraded version I had to send off for. Right, my camera's going to run out of recording time.